Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of A Moment with Matt. I'm Matt. We're at the end of an old year, we're ushering in a new one, and with it, as always, comes the waves and waves of top X lists. Now, usually there's a lot during the normal year, but we're at the end of a year, we're at the end of a decade. People are going nuts. So I figured, I recently wrote a series of anime reviews, I'm going to order this last one, just for you. So sit back and join me as I give you my top 5 anime.
Number 5.
On the surface, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya just looks like any other high school related show. But once you dig beneath that, you get to a pretty cool sci-fi story. Unfortunately, the show is more episodic than overall arcing, so you only get a few tidbits of the good stuff here and there. That's not to say the standalone episodes aren't bad. Quite the contrary, they're very entertaining. The animation for this show, much like everything by Kyoto Animation, is absolutely spectacular. The attention to lighting, detail, and backgrounds is amazing, and the character designs are spot on. In fact, outside of not keeping the overall story arc going longer than it does, I can only really think of one problem. The Endless 8.
Number 4.
Remember that episode of Futurama where mankind is nearly destroyed because of its infatuation with hot robots?
When a human dates an artificial mate, there is no purpose, only enjoyment. And that leads to tragedy.
We'll take that episode, make it a little more serious, turn it into an entire series, and you have Chobits. In some alternate future, personal computers, or persicoms, begin to take on the shape of humans. Hideki, our protagonist, finds himself on the receiving end of a particularly cute persicom named Chi. However, Chi has had her memory erased, so it's up to Hideki to teach her the basics of living, and this is the underlying premise for the entire show. The other thing it does is tackle the morality of falling in love with and dating computers. As if that's something we have to worry about right now. But the show is incredibly enjoyable, and despite the odd nature of their relationship, you find yourself rooting for Hideki and Chi as a couple anyways.
Number 3.
Azumanga Daioh is a show about high school girls. And that's about it. But what really makes it stand out is in the characters and the simplicity of the show overall. There's no huge overarching plot or big bad thing looming in the background. It's simply a slice of life show, and at that it excels. But the characters are the real heart of the show. There's so many archetypes for the characters, and the way they all interact with each other is really what brings this show together. Every moment of Azumanga Daioh is an absolute delight to watch. It's never too serious, but neither is it overtly random or stupid.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Fine, thank you.
Oh my god!
It's just one of those shows that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy as you watch it again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
Number 2.
In a word, Gurren Lagann is perfect. It has great characters, amazing action sequences, beautiful artwork, a kick-ass soundtrack, and one of the most well-executed stories I have ever seen. I mean, seriously, I don't think I've ever seen a show execute a story as well as Gurren Lagann. It's that perfect. It's never drawn out, it's never too fast, it's paced exactly perfect. Even the episodes that aren't solely dedicated to the main story find a way to advance the plot in a meaningful way. There's a little bit of something here for everybody. The first half of the show is a little bit lighthearted and silly, but the last half of the show suddenly takes a plunge towards seriousness. Now normally you would think this kind of contrast would be jarring, but Gurren Lagann pulls it off exceptionally well. This is an absolute must-see for even the most remote anime fans, and even if you're not, if you enjoy science fiction or action films, you will enjoy Gurren Lagann.
Number 1.
I'll say it now. Unlike Gurren Lagann, Clannad is not perfect. Now I know what you're thinking. If it's not perfect, why is it number 1? I'll get to that. Based on the visual novel of the same name, Clannad attempts to encompass all the various branching paths that the game does, and this doesn't always work the greatest. However, it's the story of the relationship between the two main characters, Okazuki Tomoya and Furukawa Nagisa, that make this my number 1. The way their relationship develops and evolves over the course of the show, to me, feels to be depicted in a way that's more realistic than most entertainment you see today. This is generally played out on the sidelines, while the show focuses on the other characters in the story. But once the show shifts focus solely to Tomoya and Nagisa, is when the A-game is brought out and some of the best writing I have ever seen. Everything is covered from joy and sorrow, gain and loss, to downfall and redemption. I don't think I've ever been as emotionally invested in a show as I was during the latter half of After Story, the show's second season. It is for this reason that Clannad goes down as my number 1 favorite anime of all time. If you'd like to check out my other anime reviews, head on over to dxprog.com/blog, or you can follow me on Twitter at dxprog. Have something to say about my picks or want to say something about your favorite anime? Leave a comment down below. Till next time, have a Happy New Year.